Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Rodney, and I'm back, and I wanted to talk about the Real Housewives of New Jersey. This is a mess. Um, I'll start out by saying this, and before anyone gets into my comment section, I'm not some Real Housewives of New Jersey historian. I've seen episodes here and there prior to me sitting down and watching full seasons, right? I always knew who most of these ladies were. Um, but it wasn't until about 4 seasons ago when I actually started watching the full seasons. Um, I don't know the ins and outs of Melissa and Teresa's relationship or Joe and Teresa's relationship. Um, I don't think that Melissa and Joe, their hands are just squeaky clean. I don't think that. Um, I think that Teresa and Joe, and also some of the viewers, need to let go of Teresa and Joe being brother and sister. So that means that they need to, or should, or have to have some type of relationship. Just because you happen to be siblings, that does not mean that's an automatic qualifier for a healthy, loving, functional relationship. There are plenty of people out there who have a brother or a sister, or a mother or a father, or cousins who they just don't vibe with. And I think the healthiest thing to do is once you realize that, hey, this ain't gonna really work, wish each other well and go on about your business. I think that it's possible for Teresa and Joe and Melissa to coexist on this show. I do. As long as everybody, including the entire cast, understands that Joe and Melissa and Teresa and Louie don't fool with each other. Whenever there's a scene, they're probably going to just come in and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And that's going to be the end of it. I think it's possible. I think that Teresa and Joe need to go to therapy by themselves. I don't think Melissa needs to be involved. I understand that Melissa has been a part of the family for a very long time, and she's privy to a whole lot more stuff than what we're privy to, and also Louie, because Louie just got into the circle. But I think the only way, if they really want to, you know, try and have some type of relationship, I think that those two and those two only should go to therapy. But if not, then just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go. I think that Louis has managed to come into this group within the last, 2 years, and has shifted the dynamic of the group. It was already a mess. It's messier now. I don't think, from what I have seen, I can't speak about what happened on season 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. From what I have seen, when it comes to the men usually get along. Even if there's some type of conflict within the men group, they tend to kind of hash it out. This is the first time where I have seen that, girl, next season would be a complete mess on top of the mess that it probably was already going to be anyways. I don't care if they got rid of Melissa. I don't care if they got rid of Teresa. I'm not invested in our Real Housewives of New Jersey like that. They could get rid of both of them, and I wouldn't care. They could get rid of Melissa. they could get rid of Teresa, I wouldn't care. However, I think people need to realize that if they got rid of Melissa to keep Teresa, they're also keeping Louie. And if we already see what Louie has managed to do within the entire group with his time being this much on the show. Joe, even though it's called The Real Housewives of New Jersey, plays a very important role in the show with the guys. I would say he's somewhat the leader of the guys from what I've seen. Um, I just don't know how it would work out getting rid of Melissa and Joe. From what I've seen online, the Real Housewives of New Jersey men are the only men that actually get paid. Is that true? So clearly, Bravo realizes that they play a very important role for the show. There have been times where I have watched an episode or two or maybe three, and the men have had sometimes more screen time or just as much screen time as the women. That just goes to show that they play a very important role in this show. Y'all say y'all don't want it to be dark, even though it's already dark. I don't know what y'all gonna expect if Louie say if they get rid of Melissa and Joe and keep Teresa and Louie. Girl, Louie is a mess. Louie is a mess. Louie is a mess. Louie is a mess. Louie has managed to come into this circle and cause this much chaos and confusion within 1 or 2 years. I wonder how next season is going to be. Um, I also think that Melissa and Joe use Teresa for a storyline just as much as Teresa uses them for a storyline. I get it. Teresa was on the show before Melissa and Joe. But girl, the only person that I hear that continues the Melissa and Joe came onto the show is Teresa. I understand that, you know, the people say that this is Teresa's show. And I also understand that Teresa has some type of weight for them to stop filming, while she was in prison. But I also want to say this. Stop acting like Teresa was in prison for 5 years. Teresa was in jail for 365 days from what I understand. That's not throwing that's not some large long amount of time where it would just shift, Real Housewives of New Jersey. I'm saying that I could see if Teresa was in prison for 5 years and they stopped the show for the entire 5 years, then I could say, ooh, but Teresa was only in jail for a year. Girl, you can get out of jail. We can film for a few months, get the show back up, and then that'll probably be a year and a half. Okay. I think what happens is whenever some of you hype these women up to be like, this is my show, they are soon put in the positions of like the Vickies and the Nene Leakes. Because that was their show too. But as we can see, they're not on their show anymore. This is not Teresa's show. Girl, it's not. I understand Teresa is an OG, but Vicky was the OG of the OGs. And they gave her ass the boot. Nene Leakes, quiet as it's kept, is what really put the Housewives on the map. And they gave her the boot. So if they gave Vicky the boot and Nene the boot, they damn sure wouldn't have a problem giving Teresa the boot. um, Teresa and Melissa, they got on my nerves. They don't like each other. I understand. They overtalked each other. I could see why Andy was screaming. I think some of the viewers ought to feel foolish, dumb, and stupid because I remember when the reunion trailer was released and you heard Andy yelling, "Let him talk." I saw so many people online talking about, "Oh my God, he's always defending Joe. He's always yelling at Teresa to defend Joe." And the whole time he's yelling at Teresa so she could allow Rachel's husband to speak. Y'all done went off online and hollered and screamed. And girl, Joe wasn't, and Andy wasn't even yelling at Teresa to let Joe talk. He was yelling at Teresa to let John talk. I think Louie is weird. Um, Louie talks about he didn't put on their father's pajamas. It was like a bag of clothes. He took a pair of sweats in an endearing way. That's still creepy as hell. So you mean to tell me there was a bag of clothes of Teresa's dead father and you wanted to put the sweats on to make them feel comfortable? Girl, I don't know, girl. Louis is weird. I think Louis is a scammer. I think that Louis is a liar. I believe he hired a private investigator. I believe everything John had to say. I believe everything Margaret had to say. I believe it. I believe that Joe started getting on my nerves because Dolores had put a pin in it. We're not bringing up Frankie. Let it go. This is what I believe. I don't think that, because I saw people online saying Dolores was scared of Teresa. I don't think that's what it is. I think that Dolores thinks that whatever happened, let me tell y'all something. Whatever was the reason that Louis' business ended, don't nobody want to talk about it, and it's something big. Frank knows it, Joe knows it, Dolores knows it. Dolores doesn't want them to mention Frankie because I think that Dolores knows that there's something going on over there with with Louis' business, and the reason why I guess the business is no longer operating, and she don't want Frankie's name mentioned with none of that mess. That's what I think is going on. That's why Dolores was like, "We not mentioning Frankie. He gave my son an opportunity. Leave it alone." Because I think in Dolores' head, she knows that something was going on over there with that business, and she don't want Frankie's name drugged into nothing that was going on. That's what I think. That's why I think she wanted to shut it down. But Joe wanted it to keep going. You heard him when that's why I was like, I hope Dolores cussed his ass out. When he was like, well, Louis, you tell us why it ended. Dolores just told y'all shut up. And I get it. Because that's what I do. I get it because that's what I think that's why Dolores wanted them to end the conversation. Um, and I think that now I saw something on All True Tea. Shout out to All True Tea. She had posted something about Frank. I think Frank had came out giving compliments to Louis. I think now Dolores probably told Frank, you know what, some shady business was going on. You better get on Louis' good side. And let it go. Because I don't want our son involved in none of that mess. That's what I think happened. Um, Frank and Dolores will always be family. Frank, they asked Frank, was he paying rent? He pretty girl. I took it as he wasn't. Girl, he said him and Brittany basically just closed on a house. Um, Rachel confronts Louis about the private investigator. Louis is a mess. I'm sorry. I don't know. Let me say something. I think again, Melissa and Joe are not. Their hands are not clean. But I don't understand how anybody can look at Teresa and Louie or listen to Teresa and Louie and still, for whatever reason, feel like, girl, they're telling the truth, or feel like, I don't know. I think what happens is, like, people feel like you have to be Team Teresa or Team Melissa. And quiet as it's kept, I don't give a fuck about either one of them. Okay, because, girl, Real Housewives of Atlanta is my show. Potomac, girl, we got some work to do. But them the shows I watch. So I don't give a damn about Teresa or Melissa. Now, would I take Melissa over Teresa? Yes. Right? But just because I do dislike Teresa, just because I dislike Teresa, that don't mean I go up for Melissa. Girl, because I don't give a damn about Melissa either. I just think that when Melissa talks, Melissa makes a whole lot of more sense than Teresa. Girl, I think we catch Teresa in 15 lies every each part of the reunion. Um, Bo Diddle hired security for Louie and Teresa. I guess they were receiving death threats. I don't know, girl. It was a mess. It was all over the place. I do believe that Gia told Joe what Joe said Gia said. I think Gia is telling a bold faced lie. I don't think Joe is lying. I don't. I don't. I think that Teresa had already talked to Gia prior to the reunion. I think she had already told Gia, I'm probably going to call you. And as soon as they got to the back, all of a sudden it was, oh, that's not what she meant. She meant to say, she was saying that you could be a better mom. You could be better for my mom. You could be better in this moment. So it went from her not saying it to, oh, this is what she actually said. Girl, no, I don't believe it. I believe that Gia told Joe that basically you could do better than Melissa. I believe it. I believe it. Gia is too involved in the mess. I don't think they have any respect for Melissa or Joe. I believe from what I've seen on TV that those kids, because Teresa doesn't mind talking shit around them, we're going to automatically take the side of our parents. We're automatically going to take the side of our mothers, right? But I think it takes it to another level when I see Teresa sitting around with her kids having these conversations. Like, I'm not saying that Melissa and Joe haven't done that with their kids. I just haven't seen it on my TV screen. Um, I do think, they were purposely misunderstanding Teresa. Teresa didn't say that. Teresa, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't like Teresa, so for me to be saying this, Teresa was saying that Joe was hanging out with a person who put her in jail. She, I think Andy and them were still trying to push this. Oh, they're saying that you put her in jail. Like, I don't think that's what Teresa was saying. Um, Teresa storms off the stage after they call Gia. Don't come following me. Don't come following me. Girl, they not. Girl, they not. They not. Um, I'm not gonna lie, girl. When Louis got up out of his seat to go over and basically, I guess call a truce, make a truce with Frank and Joe. And when when Louis got out of his seat and girl Andy turned around, girl, like, girl, where'd you going? Oh, I'm with Dolores. It's time for them. It's time for them to part ways. I don't know, girl. This is just a mess. I think it's a mess. I can, girl. This is a mess. Again, for the people in the back who act like they can't listen or don't hear. I don't like Teresa, but that doesn't mean I'm Team Melissa. Would I take Melissa over Teresa? Yes, and that's only because of what I feel like Joe also brings to the show. Um, but like I said, girl, if they got rid of Teresa, if they got rid of Melissa and Joe, I wouldn't give a damn. Like I'm still gonna watch the show, girl. Like when they got rid of Kenya from Real Housewives of Atlanta, I didn't watch that season. If they got rid of Melissa next season, I wouldn't care. I was like, okay, they got rid of Melissa, girl, right? I guess Teresa do got a little bit of power, right? If they got rid of Teresa, I'm still gonna watch the show. I think that's something that happens in like the housewives world. Like if you dislike one person and like whoever that person's enemy is, people automatically think that you go up for the other person. Like, no, I don't go up for Melissa. I think Melissa is a bad woman, like physically, right? Like I don't go up for Auntie Melissa. Um, I just think it's a mess. I think Louie is horrible. I think that next season, y'all talk about y'all don't want dark, dark, dark. But girl, I can't tell because if Louis has already caused this much chaos within the little time that he's been in the group, just imagine what's going to happen next season. It is what it is. Is that it? Oh, Frank, did I say Frank and Dolores will always be family? Pretty much. Frank don't really want Dolores. I just think that Frank, he feels the need to protect Dolores, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Let me say something about Miss Dolores and Polly. I said this before. I'm gonna say it again. Polly got some fucking nerve coming into a situation like what Frank and Dolores has, and trying to put his foot down about, you know, I'm the man of your life now. You get a fucking divorce first. I think Paulie has too much mouth. He had too much mouth, and I do feel like Dolores allowed him to come into whatever setup that her and Frank had, and he had a little bit too much say so. Especially for a motherfucker who's still walking around here legally married. For 14 years? He's been separated for 14 years, but you still legally married? And you got all this mouth? You go divorce your wife, and then you can come over here and then we can have a conversation. Other than that, you shut the hell up, Paulie. Quiet as it's kept, Dolores really could be a friend of the show. I love Dolores. I like Dolores because I like the way I think Dolores is just a bad woman physically. But Dolores really could be a friend of the show. I would rather have Jackie back as a full time housewife. Quiet as it's kept. Well, I guess it really don't matter. Jackie's fine being a friend too. Oh, Bill being in the pool house. He says it's only 30 to 60 minutes out of the day. I guess I don't know, girl. Listen, I'm just like Marge told Andy or Margaret Jen last week. Whatever marriage Jennifer wants to have, girl, that's her marriage. If Jennifer wants to live in this world where, girl, let her live in that world. Because Jennifer, you told us he'd be in a pool house for 3 hours after work. I still think that it is problematic. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn what Bill has done at work. It's I read the comments. Shout out to everybody who leave comments. I try to read as many comments as I can. Bill doesn't even have the decency to walk in after he gets off work to just go in and check on his family. How was y'all day? You good? All right, I'm gonna go to the pool house just so I can just get it together, and then I'll be back in an hour. I don't think that's hard to do. You get right off work and go straight to the pool house. But that's what happens when you are not raising your kids. Bill does not raise those kids. Jennifer raises those kids, and then he get mad at Jennifer when shit go left. Jennifer got her married. She think the people jealous. She think the people jealous of her family. Girl, Jennifer's marriage is probably the easiest read on the show. Um, yeah, that was pretty much it, girl. All right. Yeah, that was it. Girl, this is probably the most depressing. Girl, this is probably the most depressing review I have ever done. Girl, usually my reviews I try to make them upbeat and funny. Girl, that's how I know, girl. If I'm drained, if I'm drained, and I just got into the show some seasons ago, I know the girls who've been watching since day one. I know y'all hoes is drained, cause I'm drained. It's too much. The Melissa, Joe, Teresa, it's too much. It really is. It's like, girl, we get it. Y'all don't like each other. That's fine. Why are we still arguing about the same thing? Girl, y'all don't like each other. It's over. It's done. Can we move on? You can coexist with each other, or you can. Everybody knows where everybody stands. Boom. I'm having a party. Everybody is invited. Hey, Teresa, how you doing? Hey, Louie, how you doing? Hey, how y'all doing? And then, girl, we done. Anyways, I'm gone. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.